I'm Jake, 29, and I used to think betrayal came with warning signs, tense arguments, awkward silences, or that weird gut feeling you get when someone's being fake. Turns out, sometimes it comes wrapped in laughter, shared memories, and texts that say, "You'll kill it out there, big bro." That's what my little sister Maddie sent me the day I landed my first real corporate job. I'd been hustling for years, part-time gigs, internships, side hustles, whatever it took. And finally, I was offered a mid-level strategy role at a rising tech firm. It wasn't flashy to the outside world, but for me, it was a breakthrough. 6 figures, remote options, stock options, a company card. I felt like I could finally breathe. Maddie was the first person I called. She was 3 years younger than me, 26, working part-time at a boutique and dreaming of being an influencer. We weren't exactly close, but she was family. And family celebrates wins, right? She screamed in excitement over the phone, told me we'd go out for drinks, texted me ideas for how I should spend my first paycheck, take mom to dinner, finally buy a real couch, get those boots I told you about, size 7.5, black suede. I laughed, thinking she was just being cheeky. What I didn't know was that underneath all that cheer was something else entirely. 3 months into the job, I was thriving. My manager liked me, my work was solid, and I'd just pitched a process improvement that saved the team nearly $30,000 in annual costs. People were noticing. I started getting invited to more meetings, added to email chains with VPs. That's when things started to shift, quietly at first. One morning, I logged in and noticed I'd been removed from a calendar invite. No big deal, I thought. Then a couple more meetings disappeared. A project I was leading was suddenly being reassigned. My boss, Matt, seemed cold. He was usually casual, even funny, but now he just said, "We'll circle back," or "Let's keep things aligned," and then ghosted. By Friday, HR had scheduled a meeting. Just me and them. I knew. I didn't want to, but I knew. They said it was about ethics concerns related to outside business activity. I didn't even understand what that meant. I told them I had nothing going on, no side jobs, no weird conflicts of interest. I offered to show them everything, my emails, bank statements, whatever. They thanked me politely and said the decision had already been made. Effective immediately, my contract was terminated. Just like that. I walked out with my backpack, stunned. I didn't call anyone. I didn't text Maddie. I just sat in my car, gripping the steering wheel like it owed me answers. That weekend, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying conversations. What had I said? What had I missed? I remembered an email I'd sent to Maddie about a small freelance project I turned down because I didn't want to jeopardize my job. I had mentioned the client's name, some e-commerce startup, and said I wasn't allowed to work with competitors of my firm. It was meant as a brag. I have NDAs now. Look at me, being professional. On Monday, I called the e-commerce client. Just a hunch. I asked if anyone had reached out claiming to be from my company. After some hesitation, the founder told me, "Yeah, someone left a voicemail saying you were working for us under the table. Claimed you were giving us internal data. It spooked us." I pressed him. Did he remember the voice? It was a woman. Young. Tried to sound formal, but was clearly reading a script. That night, I scrolled through Maddie's Instagram. Nothing seemed off, except a story she posted a week before I was fired. It was a blurry photo of her laptop with a Starbucks cup and the caption, "Doing something bold today." I nearly dropped my phone. It didn't click until I remembered a conversation from earlier that month. She'd been venting about money, rent, credit card debt, something about a business coach she paid too much for. She joked about how I was raking it in now and said, "Man, if I could just cash in a sibling voucher." It hit me like a slap. I didn't confront her. Not yet. Part of me didn't want to believe it. But I filed a request with my former employer for access to the anonymous tip through legal channels. The HR rep stonewalled me, but I had a friend in IT who owed me a favor. A week later, I got a text from him with a blurred screenshot. It showed the call log to the company's ethics hotline. The number? Matched Maddie's burner line. She used it for online shopping and prank calling her exes. She never thought anyone would connect the dots. I sat in silence for a long time. I didn't cry. I didn't rage. I just felt hollow, betrayed in a way that doesn't come with words. This wasn't a stranger or a toxic ex. This was my sister. Someone I'd treated to birthday dinners, helped move apartments, loaned money to without asking for it back. She'd tanked my livelihood because she thought I owed her something. I ghosted her. Not dramatically. I just disappeared. Blocked her number. Muted her on socials. She reached out once, a week later. Hey, weird question, but are you mad at me or something? I didn't answer. I spent the next few months rebuilding. Took freelance gigs. Reached out to mentors. Eventually, through a contact at a networking event, I got offered a position at a consulting firm. Bigger pay. More prestige. Remote. I didn't even have to apply. They asked for me. That's when Maddie reappeared, like clockwork. Suddenly, I was getting family group texts again. Mom sent a photo of a new purse Maddie wanted for Christmas. Dad sent a thumbs-up gif when I shared a generic LinkedIn update. And Maddie? She called. No voicemail. Just the missed call notification. Then the text started. Hey stranger, congrats on the new gig. Heard you're killing it. Totally random, but if you're doing holiday cards this year, I'd love one, haha. I'll sue if you're feeling generous. I might be late on rent this month, love you. I didn't reply. Instead, I bought a stack of holiday cards. Real classy ones. White and gold foil, the kind that feel heavy when you hold them. I handwrote each note in my best cursive. Santa came early. Check your mailbox. Inside each one was a photocopy of a printed report, the ethics hotline call transcript, with the originating number and timestamp. I highlighted the phone number. At the bottom, I wrote, hope this clears up what really happened. Merry Christmas. Then I mailed them. One to Maddie, one to Mom, one to Dad, one to my aunt, who never misses a family group chat. And then I waited. I didn't have to wait long. The next morning, my phone buzzed 12 times in a row. Maddie, then Mom, then Maddie again, then Mom's cell too. A wave of panic-ridden messages hit my inbox. At first, I didn't read the messages. I just watched them pour in, each buzz like a little tremor in my chest. I wasn't angry anymore, just detached. Curious. Like watching a house burn from the safety of a hill you climbed yourself. Eventually, I opened them. Maddie's first message was just one word. Why? Then, you don't understand what I was going through. I needed help. I was desperate. I thought you'd be fine. You were already doing great, Jake. You would have landed on your feet. Please don't tell Mom. Please. Okay, fine, tell her. She already thinks I'm trash. You don't have to ruin my life to prove a point. My mom's texts were slower to arrive, but hit harder. Jake, what is this about? Is this real? Please tell me you're overreacting. There has to be a misunderstanding. Your sister's sobbing. She says you're trying to turn the family against her. We all make mistakes, sweetheart. Don't throw away your bond over a bad decision. I stared at that last one for a long time. We all make mistakes. Like that was supposed to neutralize what she'd done. Like burning down someone's career and life trajectory was just a hoopsie, like spilling wine on a rug. That weekend, the family group chat I had muted for almost a year came alive like a wasp's nest. My aunt, the family gossip distributor, posted, I'm not taking sides, but this is the kind of thing that breaks families. Can we all please talk like adults before this gets uglier? Followed by, also, Jake, if this is true, I'm so sorry. I had no idea. Then my dad chimed in with the laziest take possible. What's done is done. Everyone needs to calm down. Can't we move forward? That was the final straw. I screenshotted all the messages, all the denial, all the guilt tripping, all the pleas. Then I sent a single message to the group. I didn't ruin anything. I just mailed the truth. What you do with it is on you. And I left the group. No dramatic exit. No paragraphs. Just gone. I didn't hear from anyone for about 2 weeks. Blissful, quiet weeks. I worked. I got back into running. I finally booked that solo trip to Spain I'd always said I didn't have time for. I even started seeing someone, Michelle, a UX designer I met through a mutual friend. She had this calming presence that made it easier to open up, even when the subject got messy. She was the first person I told everything to. About the firing, the call, the cards, the fallout. She didn't flinch, just nodded and said, you handled that with a lot more class than most people would. But peace doesn't last long when you've exposed the rot. On the first Saturday of the new year, Maddie showed up at my apartment. I didn't even know how she got the address. I'd moved since everything went down. But there she was, standing outside the building lobby in a beige coat, mascara smudged, and clutching a gift bag like it was some kind of peace offering. She didn't buzz. She just waited, pacing like she knew I'd come down eventually. And maybe a part of me needed to. So I went. The second I stepped outside, she rushed forward. Jake, please. I just want to talk. 2 minutes. I swear. I didn't say anything. Just stood there, arms crossed. She started rambling. I was panicking. I was behind on rent, and my credit cards were maxed, and that girl I follow on TikTok said sometimes you have to take risks if you want to change your life. I didn't think they'd actually fire you. I thought. I don't know what I thought. That it would cause a shakeup or something. Get you to ask for a raise. Or a new offer. Not this. I stayed silent. She kept going. And then when you got that amazing new job, I thought maybe you'd finally help me. You had so much, and I had nothing. It felt fair. Fair. I finally said. Fair as me working my way up for years. Fair as me taking awful jobs, skipping vacations, living off instant noodles so I could land one decent role. You calling my boss to tank it? That's not fair. That's sabotage. Tears welled up in her eyes. I know. I know. I ruined everything. But you're good now. You're better than ever. You won. That sentence broke something in me. This wasn't a game, Maddie. There was no winning. You didn't lose. You burned a bridge I spent years building. You took something from me you can't ever give back. And worst of all, you acted like you were the victim. Her bottom lip trembled. So what now? You're just going to cut me off forever. I looked her dead in the eye. I already did. Then I turned around and walked back inside. No yelling. No door slams. Just a quiet end. But that wasn't really the end. Because 2 days later, a message popped into my inbox. Not from Maddie. Not from my mom. Not even from my old company. It was from a reporter. And what they wanted to talk about was that call. I sat frozen for a moment, staring at the email on my screen. Subject line, urgent, media inquiry regarding anonymous ethics tip. At first, I thought it had to be spam. Or worse, someone playing a sick joke. But the sender's name checked out, Claire Novak, a journalist for a mid-sized business and tech outlet. Verified on LinkedIn. Professional-looking signature. She wasn't fishing for gossip. She was working a story. The message was short, but every line felt like a tripwire. Hi, Jake. Apologies for the direct outreach. I understand this might be unexpected. I've been investigating a pattern of anonymous ethics tips targeting mid-level employees at several startups over the last year. In some cases, the tips have led to abrupt firings or reputational damage. A source familiar with your situation mentioned you may have experienced something similar at my former company. If you're willing to talk, even off the record, I believe your insight could be incredibly valuable. Sincerely, Claire Novak. I reread it 3 times. I wasn't sure what rattled me more, the fact that someone else had been through something similar, or the idea that this might be bigger than just Maddie being jealous and reckless. I wasn't naive. I didn't think Maddie was part of some coordinated sabotage ring or anything. But what if she'd gotten the idea from somewhere? What if some influencer or online business coach was actually teaching this as a tactic? I didn't respond right away. I sat with it, thought about the fallout, the risk, the fact that if my name got dragged into a published piece, the entire family would see it. My old coworkers, my boss at the new job, even Michelle, who only knew the story from my quiet retelling over Thai takeout one night. But there was something else gnawing at me too. Something quieter than anger, but heavier. A need for closure that my Christmas card stunt hadn't quite satisfied. I called Claire later that evening. We spoke for over an hour. She was professional, sharp, and surprisingly empathetic. She didn't just want the juicy details. She wanted the human story. How it felt to be blindsided. The isolation. The self-doubt. The weeks of replaying what happened, wondering if I'd done something wrong. I could tell this wasn't just an assignment for her. She cared. She told me about 2 other cases she'd uncovered. One guy in San Francisco, another woman in Austin. Both had received anonymous tips about unreported side income or conflicts of interest. Both had been fired. And in both cases, the tips traced back to personal contacts. Exes, siblings, former roommates, people who felt entitled to their success or bitter about being left behind. I agreed to go on the record, but only if she kept my current employer's name out of it. She said she'd honor that. A week later, the article went live. Siblings, sabotage, and the rise of revenge tips in startup culture. My name was in the second paragraph. My story was the hook. The part about the Christmas cards even made it in, and the quote she pulled from me? Family is supposed to be where you're safest. But sometimes, it's where ambition goes to rot. The article exploded. I didn't think it would. I figured it'd be a niche piece, maybe passed around HR circles and reposted on LinkedIn a couple times. But apparently, it hit a nerve. It climbed the trending charts on Medium. Tech Twitter grabbed onto it. Reddit lit up with threads dissecting every angle. Entitled relatives, company ethics hotlines, what startups owe their employees, and what siblings owe each other. And then the messages started again. But this time, they weren't from my family. Strangers. Dozens of them. Some just saying, I read your story. Thank you. Others pouring their hearts out. Stories of betrayal, of stolen promotions, of silent sabotage from people they once trusted implicitly. A few were even CEOs or HR leads, asking if I'd consult on internal training about how to verify anonymous claims. I was floored. Something that had nearly destroyed me was now fueling something bigger. And then, just when things were starting to feel steady again, my new job secure, Michelle moving in, the article fading from the spotlight, I got the text. It was a blurry photo. Maddie, sitting on a cheap couch, surrounded by boxes. Captioned, I guess this is rock bottom. You happy now? Followed by, they kicked me out. Mom said it's not her problem. No one else is picking up. But I knew you would. And then, please, I have nowhere else to go. I stared at the screen, thumb hovering over the keyboard. But I didn't type anything. Not yet. Because in that moment, I didn't know what I felt. Not anger. Not triumph. Not even pity. Just silence. Like standing in the middle of a storm you already escaped from, watching it swallow everything behind you. And that's when I heard the buzzer at my apartment gate. Maddie was outside. Again. This time, no makeup. No gift bag. Just a small duffel and eyes that looked like they'd stopped hoping for a yes. She didn't speak. Just waited. I stood by the window for a full minute, maybe more, just watching her. Maddie didn't knock again. She wasn't crying. She wasn't yelling. She just stood there, arms wrapped around herself like the cold had finally caught up with her. A single duffel bag sat at her feet, frayed and overstuffed. The sight didn't bring me satisfaction. It didn't feel like revenge. It felt like a mirror I hadn't asked to look into. She looked so small. I turned away. I didn't open the door. Not yet. Instead, I made tea. Jasmine. Calming. I sipped it by the window like I was trying to buy time, trying to figure out if the part of me that used to want to protect her was still in there somewhere. It was. But it wasn't loud anymore. It didn't scream, help her, the way it used to. It just whispered, you can't unknow what she did. Eventually, I went down. Not because I wanted to, but because some things just don't let you sleep if you don't at least see them through. When I opened the building door, she flinched like she hadn't expected me to actually show. Her eyes darted up to meet mine, full of panic and hope and something like guilt. Hi, she said softly. I didn't answer. She shifted awkwardly. I didn't know where else to go. Not my problem, I said, voice flat. She blinked. Jake, you sabotaged my life for rent money. I said I was sorry. No, I cut her off. You said you were desperate. You said you didn't think they'd actually fire me. You said a lot of things. But you never said you were sorry for lying. You never said you were sorry for turning my success into your scapegoat. And you didn't come here to apologize. Yes, I did, she snapped. Why else would I be standing out here freezing like a fool? I looked her up and down. Because you ran out of options. Not because you regret what you did. If things had gone the way you wanted, if I had gotten fired, floundered for a bit, then came back around and handed you money like a good big brother, this never would have been a problem for you. You'd still be bragging on TikTok about your intuition. She bit her lip. It wasn't like that. It was exactly like that. Her expression cracked. Okay, she said, her voice suddenly sharp. Raw? You want me to say it? I'll say it. I was jealous. I've always been jealous. You were the golden kid. The one who never needed help. The one who got the scholarships, the internships, the job. Everyone acted like you were some quiet genius. And I was just noise. You'd come home for holidays and mom would beam when you walked through the door. Dad would brag about your salary to strangers. Meanwhile, I was maxing out credit cards to keep my lights on. You think I wanted all that attention? I said, anger finally rising. You think I didn't feel like a mule carrying everyone's expectations around like dead weight? I was drowning too, Maddie. I just didn't announce it on Instagram. She didn't respond. And here's the part you don't get, I continued. I would have helped you. I have helped you. I gave you money. I co-signed your first apartment. I let you crash on my couch when your last roommate ghosted. You think you're the only one who's been scared and broke? We all have. But I never threw you under a bus to make myself feel better. She was crying now. Silent tears, the kind that don't beg for sympathy, just leak out because the dam's been broken too long. I don't want your money, she said. You don't get to want anything from me. She sniffled. I'm not asking to stay. Just, I didn't know where else to go. I don't have friends who'll pick up anymore. Mom said I made my bed. Dad won't even reply. I just wanted to see you. To tell you I'm sorry. I believed her, but not in the way she hoped. She was sorry, but mostly because the fallout caught up to her. Regret, for her, was a consequence, not a conscience. Still, I looked at her, broken in a way that felt strangely familiar. The same way I'd looked in the mirror the night I lost my job. The night I sat in a parking garage thinking I did everything right. Why am I the one who gets punished? That version of me had no one to call, either. So I made a choice. I'll put you up in a hotel. 3 nights. After that, you figure it out. She looked stunned. You do that? I'm not doing it for you. I'm doing it for the kid I used to be. The one who didn't have anyone when he needed someone. She nodded quickly, clutching her bag tighter like it might vanish if she moved too fast. I'll pay you back, I swear. You won't, I said. And I don't expect you to. But don't ever show up at my door again. This, whatever this is, it ends here. I booked her a room 3 blocks away. I didn't drive her. I didn't walk her there. I just handed her the reservation info and turned away. I didn't watch her leave. That night, I sat on the couch next to Michelle and told her everything. Every word. Every beat. She didn't say much, just rested her head on my shoulder and whispered, "You're a good man, but you're not a doormat. Don't forget that." And I haven't. The article kept circulating. Claire emailed me a few weeks later to say the piece had sparked internal policy changes at 2 major tech firms. One company even introduced a new protocol: no anonymous tips acted on without verification and follow-up interviews. I never imagined my name would become shorthand for ethics reform. But there it was. Jake Sandler, the guy whose sister tried to sink him and accidentally changed how startups handle sabotage. I still get the occasional message from strangers. Some just say thanks. Others ask what they should do with their own family betrayal. I don't always know what to say, but I always tell them this. Forgiveness is a door. You decide if it opens, when, and to whom. But it should never be unlocked by guilt. Only growth. As for Maddie, last I heard, she moved to Arizona. Some wellness influencer she used to follow started a retreat business, and Maddie signed on as an assistant. She posted a story a month later about finding peace, with the caption, "Letting go of the past isn't easy, but it's the only way forward." I didn't respond. I didn't like the post. I just watched it fade, like the rest of her stories, into digital dust. I don't hate her. I don't think I ever truly did. But I don't miss her either. Some bridges don't need to burn. Some just need to be closed, quietly, with a lock only you hold the key to. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below.